home, the natural favelas, you could say, of what is Sao Paulo right now. Interlagos will play host then to this, the next round of your Formula Renault 2.0 series, streaming live on iRacing Live and brought to you by Racebot TV. Qualifying about to get underway in just a couple of moments' time. We'll be here after these few messages. And there is still a lot to be playing for here around this Brazilian circuit. One of the icons of circuits here around the world, and especially here on this iRacing service right now. We're at Interlagos in Sao Paulo amidst the favelas for what will be the next round of your Formula Renault 2.0 series. We're here on iRacing Live and with Racebot TV as well. Jake Sperry alongside Cisco Scaramuza. Qualifying here in terms of lap times, well, there's only one car really out on circuit at the moment who has to set a lap time. That's Scott McIntyre here, who's rounding Jun Xiao right now, heading himself up through the series of left-handers, full power at the moment, currently down in P16 right now here, with just a handful of seconds left in qualifying here, Cisco. A really difficult circuit, a lot of undulation, a lot of difficult corners in terms of infield and outfield. Really difficult to set up this car.
Yeah, absolutely. You basically have two different styles of track. You have the long straightaways to the first half of this track. This is a 2.6 mile circuit here, 15 turns. And the first section of the track, very long, a lot of straightaways. You have that first kink going through the first couple turns, and then you have a long straightaway going down kind of into this kind of flowy section. A lot, like you said, a lot of undulation in that second section. You come back onto a huge sort of straightaway, a little bit of a kink as you head towards the front straightaway. This is an interesting track, of course. been here since 1940, and this is going to be a lot of fun for these open-wheel drivers.
It certainly is, and with all drivers finished, qualifying will look as follows. Nesta Garcia Jr. then on pole position in the number 1 machine. Scott Newton there for Apex Racing UK will line up alongside championship leader Boris Spolstra is there in 3rd, with Chris Lazarevich there doing a great job there in 4th. Jan Schweiter is there in 5th position, Mark Usher in 6th, Riley Preston surprisingly down the order in 7th, with Darius Trinker 8th. And then you got Javier Sola and Rob Boa there, 9th and 10th. Christian Koch there in 11th there for the Vector Simsport team, with Fabrice Cornelis in 12th. But Angus Waddell down the order as well in 13th, with Thomas Gibson 14th. Then you got Aseu Tellers there with Scott McIntyre, Daniel Araujo there with Charlie Summers, Daniel Berrison and Denny Wright. And the last of the cars here on this 21-car grid will be Brandon Eves. Expect him to make leeway throughout the grid here in terms of this race. 2 minutes to grid up then before we get ourselves underway. If you don't grid up inside those 2 minutes, pit lane will be the place that you need to start. And of course, what it does have to be remembered here is actually this grid straight is not entirely flat at all. You get to about 7th, 8th on the grid, and you start getting this slope up the hill. You come back to about 13th, 14th on the grid, you're down the hill. You get that advantage, better getaway, and it just tightens up into that center S. We saw, of course, iRacing Grand Prix World Championship Series, that very first race. All 3 red line cars came together in Gregor Hutu, Olli Pakala, and Alexei Yusiakala as well. So there is a lot of potential for incidents to happen here or there. So there is certainly a lot that could be desired. Just waiting for Angus Waddell to get himself up then onto the grid. He's the last of the cars waiting to get himself gridded up. He is still not there. He's got about 15 seconds here, and he might be starting to play mind games here with the other drivers. Everyone's thinking, trying to visualize what their start's going to be, trying to make sure they get that bite point on the clutch well. There is Angus Waddell then on the grid. Everybody is there. Everybody is waiting. Everybody is ready. Let's go green and let's get ourselves underway. Nesta Garcia Jr. with a pretty decent start then, as they're going to try and full single fire. Boris Spolstra, best of the rest then. He tries to go around the outside of Scott Newton, down to the center S for the first time, and Newton dives to the inside, and he's got the outside for the second part, but will have the inside for the first. Spolstra going 3 wide. Let's try it then, but suddenly turns to 2 wide. Scott Newton then up into the lead then, very early on, as they continue to look for that big fight here or there. You can see Spolstra looking for a way through. Garcia Jr. then to the outside as they head to the Interlagos then, and Scott Newton holds on for the moment there, Cisco.
Yeah, and that Apex driver got a really great start, was able to jump to the inside as they head up through the second, as they head towards the kind of slower part of the track here. It's a great fight for the top 3. All these drivers nose to tail here, and a little bit back spread out, back by Mark Usher. He was able to make the move on Riley Preston there, so they're going to make it work and off into the grass. Usher went, he's going to lose the line right there. Able to get back in line though, great job for him.
Yeah, and there was double contact there. There was contact with Riley Preston, contact ahead with Chris Lazarevich as well. So not exactly out of the walls there. Mark Usher trying. Still got some side-by-side behind. Angus Waddell is through on Rob Boa. He's up another position and will look to try and continue that sort of run of momentum as they go further forward. But the key slipstream overtaking outside of Jun Xiao. And now up this hill, left-handers all the way to the start-finish line. You're going up the hill using that draft. You can see Boris Spolstra tucked right underneath. Moves to the outside then of the circuit here on lap 1 of 19. Here we're going to score it complete, and we're going to try and go 2 wide. You can see he's weaving all over the place trying to find a way through. Let's go 3 wide down to the center S, and on the inside it will be Scott Newton, and Scott Newton hangs them out to dry, and there's contact there further back in your mid-pack. Mark Usher involved, and I believe there was Riley Preston as well. He takes to the grass there, Cisco, and from a world championship driver, a very rash mistake.
Yeah, and Riley Preston there went off-road. He tried to jump to the inside of Usher, locked up the brakes. Huge contact into Mark Usher right there. Able to get it back sorted. I don't know how he held on to that car, but a great job by him. As a battle in front, Fabrice Cornelis is able to jump to the inside, pick a couple spots right there in that number 8 Formula Renault. So they're going to sort it out. Meanwhile, back up front, the battle continues, and it's a battle for 4 cars now. 1 car's joined this battle. It's the Petronas car of Jan Schweitzer there.
Yeah, that's Boris Spolstra turnaround. Championship leader then in the grass, has to wait. And it's a very dangerous rejoin there. You can see hits the reverse. And let's get a replay of that one because that just ended in tears. Lazarevic was down the inside. And in the end, he just didn't give the man. There was no real space there to be given there, Cisco, for the driver of what was, I believe that was Lazarevic there, who was trying to get through. It was Jan Schwieter, who was side by side. So a lot of drama there in the early stages. And now it's a recovery game for Boris Spolstra.
And Spolstra there, he just got kind of knocked out of the groove there because Schwitzer was down in his inside and Lazarevic just kind of ran him over there. You're not really much you can do. This is such a draft-heavy track there. You got to be aware of that nose. And the battle continues for the lead right now. Scott Newton under attack as they head towards turn one.
Yeah, you can see Nestor Garcia Jr. wants to find a way around the outside of the Australian, but he just can't find a way through into the center S. Still, they're going to remain here, 1 and 2. Scott Newton then holding off side by side. Christian Koch down the inside of Angus Waddell at the center S, and a very good job by the Austrian driver who gets himself +1 positions. And we still got battling Rob Burr and Scott McIntyre. Oh, they bang tyres as they go down the middle of the straight. Let's go 3 wide once again, and it seems to be the order of the day. Cornelis on the inside, and somehow they hold it together, but the big loser in all of that one, Cisco, was the driver of Scott McIntyre as Aseo Teles now going side by side with Rob Boer.
And it looked like Rob Boer wanted to try and get out of it there, and the last second decided to commit to the line. That just hurt McIntyre there, but battle for the lead once again. Nestor Garcia will not let Newton go. He's going to get to the inside going through here, but Newton's going to have the inside line to the right-hander. Jan Switzer, meanwhile, right behind these guys. Just watch him go at it. But a great run by Garcia. He's going to grab the lead, and Schwitzer's going to get him, too.
Yeah, Jan Schwieter through the inside then, and first to third in the blink of an eye. Nestor Garcia Jr. through on the inside on the duck's beak, the Pinarino, and he spins it out of Jun Shao, going up through the gears, and a rare mistake from Nestor Garcia Jr. He drops behind Angus Waddell and will lose all the momentum going up the hill. Through will go Cornelis, through will go Rob Burr, replay up on screen. And that's a canny mistake that you see in these Formula Renault, Cisco. Just too eager to get on the power. Very easy to oversteer the car and spin it around. Now Jan Schwieter leads from 5th on the grid.
And you have to think he had just gotten the lead, maybe just messed up his gear ratio ever so slightly, wasn't following someone, or whatever the case may be. Hubris going to strike Nestor Garcia there. He's going to fall all the way back to 10th right now from 1st to 10th. Not a good run for him. Meanwhile, Scott Newton trying to recover what he did. He did get past, but a battle for 3rd right now. Lazarevic is going to jump to the inside. He's going to get P3 or try and get it from Trinka there. Darius Trinka in that number 14 car side by side. He's going to get him right back. Crossover move.
Oh, brilliant cutback from Darius Trinka. Started 8th on the grid. He is now up 5 positions at the moment, but that move has cost them time to the leading pair of Scott Newton and Jan Schwieter. Jan Schwieter winning the race previous to this earlier on today, so certainly has a turn of pace about him. But you have to look at your top 10 at the moment. Nestor Garcia Jr., he's down 9 positions on his day. Boris Spolstra in the middle of the pack as well. He's down a number of positions as well. He's down a whole total of, at the moment, 12. And he's got Riley Preston just in front of him as well. He'll have to get past a big train developing then in these early parts. We're only on lap 4, would you believe? And Jan Schwieter at the front again here, Cisco. Gonna become under attack from Scott Newton. He's in the draft, and he's got a great opportunity.
Yeah, on the draft right now, Newton is just going to use that inside line. No, he's not actually. He's just going to fall in the tire tracks. I thought Schwieter was going to run a little bit closer to the wall there. Isn't kind of keeping a little bit outer, so maybe saving a little bit of tires is Jan Schwieter right there. But as they head through, Newton picked up so much time right there, Jake. And as they head through, Newton at this point, he's just got to follow in the tire tracks. 19 laps here at Interlagos for this race. He's got plenty of time to make the move here. And Newton, I just think, is just waiting for a mistake from that leading car.
Yes, he is. Nestor Garcia Jr. then is through on the driver of Rob Burr, but to the inside goes Lazarevic as he tries to get through on Darius Trinka. They remain side by side for the moment and running a little bit wide there off the exit. Got to be careful on incident points there as Darius Trinka. He cuts back into line, but he looks to the inside here onto this big right-hander. Ferradura then double apex right, moves out with there and tries to hang his man to dry. And Darius Trinka for the moment gets himself back up into the final spot on the podium. The gap between them and second place is about 1.5 seconds right now as things stand. So they are starting to lose touch here to Schweiter and Newton at the front of this field right now. But a battle going on then for 8th position. You got Nesta Garcia Jr. He's now looking at Fabrice Cornelis there in the Scuderia Leon car, and a poor exit coming there means that you're going to see all over the backs ahead to Yun Xiao here a move potentially for your pole sitter Nesta Garcia Jr. He's going to wait on the brakes, and you see just how much he checks up there, and a big slide actually just behind. Scott McIntyre will lose a couple of positions, Cisco.
Yeah, and Scott McIntyre is all the way back in 11th right now, not having a great round. Now under attack right there from AC Otelis right there. He's on the outside, and he's going to get a great run here. No draft help needed for that driver. And meanwhile, back up. Oh, no, actually, they're going side by side. Cornelis and Nestor Garcia. Garcia going to go for another spot on the Scuderia Leon driver. He's going to get him right there in a 1. Great pass by Nestor Garcia. He's up to 8th.
Yeah, he is, and he's starting to make those inroads. He's now +2 after that incident. We've got side-by-side Lazarevich and now Javier Sola getting in on the act, and Sola's through. You can see the weave down the straight. Doesn't want to break that draft at all, but at the front, though, Jan Schweiter's broken to a second. A mistake, then, from Scott Newton has cost him 0.8 of a second that last lap, and Jan Schweiter available to get away right now as this battle for 4th continues to go on here. So the pack's starting to open out here. We're about 1/3 distance in this race, and now everyone's just starting to look around, get some norm about them. And at the moment, Lazarevich seems to be the one thing falling down the grid right now here, Cisco.
Yeah, and a great battle still. AC Otelis on the back bumper of Denny Rates right there. 14th is your, no, that's the battle rather for, that's 13th on your grid order right now. And Tellus going to jump to the inside, gets cut off a little bit of curb there. They're going to make contact, a little bit interesting there. Tellus can try and get that car back under control here. That got bad. That got a little bit interesting.
Yeah, it certainly did, and he's going to have to stay behind just for the time being. That battle continuing to go on, but you can still see these trains starting to develop. Lazarevich back in under the toe of Javier Sola. To the inside of the circuit they go, and Sola stays to the inside then as they head to that Ayrton Senna S, then turn numbers 1 and 2, and then you got that big curve to Sola turn 3. Not going to happen this time there from Chris Lazarevich, started 4th on the grid. He's going to have to wait a little bit, and they are allowing Christian Koch back into the fight here. Started 11th, up 5 positions from where he was on the day, and Koch doing a really good job minding his own business, keeping himself out of trouble here as the battle for 3rd continues. Darius Trinker all over the back into the Desquita de Largo.
And Trinka's probably got to feel good because he's not getting attacked by Lazarevich this time. He's actually going after someone. So Trinka right now all over the back bumper of Scott Newton. And Newton, it looks like, just fried those tires early on because he's lost so much time to our leader, Jan Schweiter. And Trinka right now gonna get a good run. Looks like Newton locked up the tires a little bit right there. So Trinka just slowly reeling in that driver. This is going to get interesting here. I think Trinka, he was able to save those tires a little bit more, but we know Scott Newton could drive the wheels off a car to keep a position if he has to, and he's doing that right now.
Yeah, he certainly is here in this battle for 2nd. Also wants to keep your attention a little bit further back then. This battle going on for Fabrice Cornelis, Rob Boer, Boris Spolstra, championship leader here in what is 9th, 10th and 11th at the moment. Something to keep an eye on here. There's 2 Scuderia Leon cars, front and back, so there is a little sandwich going on here. So Boris Spolstra might have it a little bit easier to get past the likes of Fabrice Cornelis at the moment, but further on up through your field, back for 2nd, Darius Trinka, touched right underneath that gearbox here, moves to the outside line again. It seems to be the way they want to do it here, and it's going to be last of the late breakers, and last of the late breakers very, very easily there with Scott Newton. Chance not there for Darius Trinka, but he has to wait, he has to be patient here. Got about another 20 minutes to play for, another 11 laps of this race to go, and still tucked in underneath the Cisco.
And Rob Boer just lost a position right there. That Kuhn's car just fell a little bit back and side by side right in front of him. Boris Bolstra was able to get the jump on there, and Fabrice Cornelis is going to jump in behind as well.
Yeah, he is, and there's a little bit of contact as well there between Darius Trinka and Scott Newton as they headed through the Desquita de Largo. Now to Ferradura here, the right-hander, and they're going to fall back into motion for the moment here, one moment at a time. Spolstra's got the double position then on Fabrice Cornelis. That's exactly what we expect him to do. He now moves up to 9th position, chasing down Nesta Garcia Jr. But you see this train now, Angus Waddell onto the back of it here. They're all starting to hold each other up a little bit, Cisco. That's a little bit worrying as they move forward because Jan Schweiter's putting in the laps of his life. He's now 3 seconds clear at the front of the field.
Yeah, and doing a great job right now. as this, it looks like everyone's spread out, but an accordion effect happened, and Newton's basically kind of being the parachute on this field. You can see the guys starting to stack up behind him. It's because they can't pass him here, Jake, and you know the guys are faster. They're all right there, side by side, meanwhile right behind him. Christian Koch is going to jump to the outside of Lazarevich right there. Lazarevich going to try and get a little bit of draft assistance, but it looks like he's going to have the inside line as they head towards the center curves.
Yeah, and you also got to look Scott Newton, then he's losing a little bit of advantage side by side into turn number 1, and he can't get the move sorted, nor could Christian Koch either, as he falls back into line. The big opportunity seems to be that run to turn 4 and 5, the Desquita de Largo, and that might be the place where you really need to see that move coming in. Just one retirement so far today. That's Charlie Summers in the number 13 machine, but now you can see Darius Stringer under effect. Javier Sola trying to go around the outside, not going to happen, and contact between Koch and the car of Lazarevich. Lazarevich's turn around, replay, let's get that one up on screen.
And that was huge right there, tire contact there between Lazarevich and that blue car of Koch, the PRT driver, and they just tried to go for the same piece of real estate right there, and Koch had a good run, turned in, and just Lazarevich was right there on the apex, and that's what happens.
Yeah, my mistake. I said he was Vector Simsport, of course, his old team, but now riding under Pure Racing Team colours. Of course, his brother, also a Pure Racing Team driver as well, as they gear more to an endurance side, but now Koch has Nestor Garcia Jr. right behind him, and that's going to be a difficult thing to play the game against. So there is still battling, there is to be had. You've still got Darius Trinker and Javier Sola looking at that opportunity. Let's get your biggest moves and shakers then up after this lap, because there has been a few changes here and there. Nestor Garcia Jr. now starting to apply the pressure on Koch. Koch will have to play a shrewd defensive game in that PRT machine as they head now through this final kink left. Of course, not the new pit entry that we're used to seeing, but you can see he moves hard to the right hand side, and that's not the way to do it. I think he's going to let his man go here and try and use that inside line. Not going to happen here. Nestor Garcia Jr. comfortably through then on the driver of Christian Koch. Your biggest moves and shakers in your field. Angus Waddell, he's +8 for the day, but don't count out Denny Wrights in the number 19 machine, Cisco. He's up 11 right now, side by side with the driver of Asio Teles, who's just got the position.
Yeah, I was going to say the numbers were going back and forth on my screen. That's because Rates right there was in a battle for that number 11 spot with Teles there, and Teles able to get the upper hand as they get down the straightaway here, and as they head for the left-hander, kind of going back up the hill. This is another accordion effect here, Teles. You can see 3 cars right behind him. You got Rates, Bor, and Arunjo there. So Daniel Araujo he's going to try and make a move on Bor here as they come through, kind of getting into the S's section here, Jake. And this is another great accordion effect that we're starting to happen here.
Yeah, and don't forget Lazarevich on the back of that pack. Quickest man of the lot will be looking to try and sight his way through as quickly and as effectively as he can. We're over halfway here in this race right now. Jan Schwieter leads this one outright at the moment, but we still have battles up and down your field. We saw Darius Trinker and Javier Sola get side by side through Ferradura that last lap, and they'll be looking to try and get closer again. They have lost a little bit of time there to the driver of Scott Newton there in that Apex Racing UK machine, and they'll have to be a little bit careful here not to lose that toe. They're going to fall into line for the moment, but that group towards the back, you can see line of 2, line of 3. Rob Bor then having to deal with Araujo and also with Lazarevich as well as they go side by side, 2 wide, 2 deep, and they're going to go through it towards turn number 1. You can see Lazarevich. He'll try and thread the needle, will he? Oh no, he gets on the brakes, and that one could have ended in 2s, and he still tries 3 wide, and still it won't work for him.
We're not at Daytona. You can't do 3 wide going through the S's right there. He certainly tried, and a very angry Chris Lazarevich, of course, trying to get back through the field to where he was before the contact. And Lazarevich right there almost just sent 3 cars to the garage area with that move, but he's going to stay back now as they continue to go 2x2 in front, and off goes in front of them. That's contact in front of Lazarevich, and as well, contact between Rates and Teles. There's contact everywhere.
Yeah, there's contact quite a bit, and also look at Boris Spolstra as well. He's looking to try and get through on Christian Koch in the PRT machine, and Spolstra wants to find that way through, needs to get as many points as he can, and it's just flowing away from him a little bit. Don't count out Angus Waddell as well. He's looking at that podium thinking, you know what, great opportunity. Spolstra round the outside here at this next turn, not going to happen. Maybe the inside of Jun Shao, going to wait for it then as they head towards the left-handers then that lead to the end of the lap, and Spolstra now tucks right in underneath. We'll have to do it the long way around, which is not the most effective way because you use up more of your fuel, more of your tyres going to that outside, and you can see tucked there on quarter panel to quarter panel, looking to try and get to 50-50, looking try and get to side by side, and we're going to get to side by side as we head towards turn number 1, but Coach, a very strong and resolute defense, holds on for the moment there, Cisco.
Yeah, that was a great job by Coach there, and Spolstra is going to try and regain what he does have, drops in behind Coach there, and they're going to come down the straightaway. This is where the draft is going to complete. Defensive line by the PRT driver, side by side. Here we go.
Yeah, we just had 3 wide there in your battle for your final spot on the podium. Running wide there is the driver of Darius Trinka, who loses 2 positions in the space of 2 corners. And now Waddell looking at the podium from 13th on the grid to the outside of Ferradura. Get yourself hung out to dry, and here comes Darius Trinka back at it, and they get close, and he gets sent to the AstroTurf, and he'll lose another position there, because here comes the driver of Nestor Garcia Jr., recovering from that early spin from the race lead. He's back in this one, and he's back into 5th, Cisco.
And Angus Waddell, tough break for the Carbon Racing driver right there, just kind of fell back, Jake. And now you can see this kind of accordion effect. It's still continuing behind this lap car, or no, that's not a lap. That's not a lap car, that's Xander Sol. I don't know where did he come from. He's been kind of sneaking his way up the grid there, and he's up to 3rd right now. So all that racing, Trinka falls back. Nestor Garcia on his charge back to the front, but he's still -4 positions where he started. And that's because your leader is so far in front. Here we go, battle once again. And Trinka going to try and go the outside.
Yeah, he's going to have to try and work that line and make sure he reuses that run downhill. Really get onto that accelerator. You can see, though, the corner just favors that inside line, and it's not going to happen in a vehicle like this. Maybe in a Kia Optima, maybe in a Skip Barber, you could hold it too wide, but not here in this Formula Renault. You can see Javier Sola now having to play the role of resolute defense. The iron wall will have to be built incredibly hard then for the last 6-7 laps of this motor race here. He's holding off 4 drivers for the last spot on the podium. The number 5 machine there of Boris Spolstra then under a little bit of difficulties because Koch is trying to come back at him, and it's not going to happen just yet. Maybe into Ferradura there might be a chance for the PRT driver. I doubt it. As you can see, he looks at that inside, has a nose, but not enough. Spolstra recovering well up into 7th.
And you can see the accordion effect for that 3rd position right now, just cars behind cars. And this is just not, I don't think this is going to end well, Jake. These guys all accordion together. This is going to get breaking out here. We're running out of time. These guys are going to get more and more desperate. Something's going to happen here, and I don't think it's going to be good.
Something's got to click, and at the moment that thing that needs to click is not happening in the way that many people would have wanted. Interesting to note here about fastest laps. Nestor Garcia Jr. has that by 0.02 of a second as things stand right now, as Darius Trinka here tucked right underneath Javier Sola. They are starting to bring in just a little bit here. The driver of Scott Newton, let's go 2 wide, potentially 3. Garcia Jr.
There we
boxed
go.
in, now goes to thread the needle here, and he's got to try and back out of it. News to the outside, they almost bang tyres down to turn number 1, and they hold it together somehow, but still the inside maybe for Trinka, and it's contact with Nestor Garcia Jr. into turn number 2, and into the wall, and potentially out is the number 1 machine, the pole sitter, Nestor Garcia Jr.
And he thought the guys in front of him were going to get a better run there, Jake, and he just gassed it up, and they didn't. They made contact in front of him, and he didn't realize it and couldn't get on the brakes fast enough, just ran over the guy in front of him, and that's what can happen. Nestor Garcia goes from 0 to 0 right here into the pits. Game over for the number 1 car.
Yeah, and that is the big shame there, because he was looking to try and get that cut back as we go back live. Didn't quite get it, and that is a big mistake from a very experienced driver. Waddell looks at the inside then, here into turn number 8 on circuit. Can't get it sorted then as they head through this next long sweeping left-hander, heading up towards the Pinarino right now here, this Duck's Beak. And you can see he goes for a long late down the inside, and he touches, and Spolstra will take 2, but 2 taps he takes as well. And a big move, a big lunge dive bomb, you could say, has ended in calamity for Angus Waddell. What it has done now, it means Boris Spolstra's in 4th, and Sola's on his own in 3rd.
How Spolstra got through that, I'll never know. He somehow didn't get too much damage from that. The car looks okay, but he's going to be under attack from Christian Koch. He's going to get the draft on him here, so there might be a battle for 4th here. But Spolstra just got a Christmas present in January right there.
Yes, he did, and he'll be hoping for maybe a bit more, but you can see just how much Koch is chasing. Down to the inside he goes, and there has to be... No, he locks up, and they touch! And that's just one case of being a little bit over-eager there. A little lock of the brakes, and they make contact. They keep it together, and Koch makes his way through. but that's a very, very, very careful move that you have to make. Also keep an eye out then between the battle between Newton and Solar. Solar's got a few laps to go. Might be interesting to see what happens next time by. The gap is 1.2, and about this gap you start to see the edges of slipstream here, Cisco. You start to see drivers looking to try and find a gap here or there, trying to drag that gap down, and Javier Solar, after being 8th, 9th on the grid, now looking to try and get a second place finish.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see in front, and Christian Koch has been locking up the tires, doing everything he can. He's driving the car way over his head right now, trying to do everything he can to hold on to the position. I mean, he's gained 7 spots in the race, but he's been in a couple incidents tonight. It's just been so aggressive out here. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it certainly has. You've got to be careful here and there about incidents that happened. Lazarevic, remember him? He had his own little incidents, and now he's looking at Ateo Teles right now. And this is the battle for 9th position on circuit here. You wouldn't think it after all the incidents that you've had right here today. And you've got to have a little battle here and there. We're also going to stay on this battle for P number 3, P number 4 as well. Christian Koch and Boris Spolstra, they're going to continue at it down this front straightaway right now. You can see looking for a weave to the inside, goes to the outside, tries your championship leader, and he does it around the outside. Brave move, brave attempt, and he's not got it sorted because Koch, with superior overspeed, takes it straight back. How about that one to the Desquita de Lago?
Spolstra couldn't get it on the second half of that corner right there, and Koch just drove it in and it stuck, so gripping up was Koch right there, and Spolstra now going to dive to the inside here. He's going to try and get the inside line, but Koch is going to have the outside. He might get a better run, but what a run by Spolstra. The drag race continues.
Yes, it does to Ferradura, the double right. It normally ends out here, battles, and you can see he's now trying to get that cutback. That just doesn't happen for Boris Spolstra. Has to wait on it here in the battle for 4th position. Don't count out your battle for the final 2 spots on the podium, because that gap came down by 0.6 of a second that last time by. Javier Solar almost fastest lap of the race there with a 1:30.339 there, just a few fractions off of that one. And don't count Fabrice Cornelis out of this one here. They were 0.4 of a second here in this battle for 4th off of this one here, Cisco. Heading through Junshao, 3 laps to go, and anything is still possible.
The good thing for Cornelis, though, he does have his teammate in front of him. Spolstra and Cornelis, both Scuderia Leon cars, and for Spolstra here, he just needs to make a move, maybe stop Koch, just delay him long enough so his teammate can get there and maybe try a little bit of teamwork. Here we go. Spolstra going to jump to the outside as we head through the Senna once again, and it's going to be Koch on the inside. Spolstra going to lock up the tires again. More smoke coming off the number 5 car.
Yeah, and they're all looking for it, but he tries to get the runner outside of the Curva de Sol. Has to tuck back into line as they head towards turn number 4. DRS won't activate here if they don't have it on these Formula Renaults. You can see side by side, going to pinch the man to the outside of the grass there. Is the driver of Christian Koch. Great racecraft coming into play, and now looking for that switchback once again. Will get it, will go side by side up towards Ferradura, and for the moment Christian Koch will have the inside, will have the advantage. It didn't work out last time for the driver of what was Boris Spolstra, and again it won't happen here. He'll have to wait in line. 2 laps to go next time. Gets incredibly close to that bumper, but he won't get to the rear wing because he'll have to wait in line. Takes that wider line and loses a couple of tenths there. That's Cisco.
And Spolstra is just clawing at that position. He wants it badly, but how badly does he want it? I don't know. He might even try and use the wing here, Jake. It's certainly, we've seen plenty of it tonight already, and Spolstra just getting more and more agitated as he sits behind Koch. Koch trying to open up that gap, but the draft going to be in a play. Not a good turn there for Koch, and the draft going to come into a play here. Spolstra going to get another great run on that PRT car.
Yeah, he is, and there was a big oversteer moment coming out for the exit, and that's going to allow the driver of Boris Spolstra to come back into play. The Club Benelux man looking to the outside, then looking for another opportunity, and Koch is going to pounce him man for man as they head into turn number 1. That center S, he tries around the outside, but he just doesn't have enough grip there in the mid part of the corner. Has to stay behind, stay in line for the time being then as they head towards the Desquita de Lago. Still don't count out that battle for second. The gap is still 0.8 of a second, and they're trading even lap times, but Boris Spolstra looking for that one opportunity here, Cisco, and it's still not going to happen for him. Even with that bent front wing, he's still not finding the way through.
If there's any rubber left on those Michelins, I think there's barely any. They're probably just hanging off at threads at this point. Spoelstra going to throw it in on the outside here. That's not going to work. Maybe going to try and set him up for the double apex as they come through the right-hander. He's going to dive the inside. He's going to try and stick the nose in it. It's going to work. He was on the curb. Here they go, left-hander. Koch going to get him through the apex there. And for the moment, Koch still going to hold him off.
Yeah, and he's got to be careful here because Spoelstra to the inside, and that's a fantastic dive, showing Angus Waddell how it's done. But a great exit there from the driver, Christian Koch, and he still holds on, and it seems impossible the Austrian surpass, and Boris Spoelstra will get more and more frustrated as they head to the final lap of this motor race. And what a moment that we have just seen, and it still won't be over and done with here, with the championship leader looks maybe to the inside, and you'll take it to the inside, and wow, my word, gets to the pit wall and says thank you very much, inside's mine. But you can see how much they scrub back into slipstream, moves to the inside as Christian Koch down towards turn number 1, and Spoelstra locks the front and he runs wide, and that will say how you do it. For the time being, Boris Spoelstra tried, and it was a desperate attempt that just hasn't worked out for him. Battle for second, though, still continues on the final lap, and it just seems to me for the moment that Scott Newton has tried to find one way or another to keep himself ahead, and he's managed that gap nicely as the Australian. It stayed at 0.8 of a second, and it has meant that Javier Sola hasn't managed to try and close that gap between Spoelstra and Koch. That one still has opened up. I don't expect that one to close come the end of the race. We've had a few retirements, 6 to be precise, the likes of Charlie Summers, Riley Preston, Daniel Araujo, Darius Trinker, Nestor Garcia Jr. and Rob Burr as well with Angus Waddell. So we've seen a few things, but now you have to say Rounding Jun Xiao is a driver who's just picked his chances one after another, done everything that he needed to do, and he's got a great run of pace, and it's a return to form for the number 3 machine as Jan Schwieter will come to the line and take a crazy win here at Interlagos. Fantastic result. Newton will take it to the line ahead of Sola, and that battle for 4th, it will end in PRT's favour. Christian Koch will take it ahead of Boris Spoelstra. Cisco.
And that is going to be a very angry Scuderia Leone. He just parks it as soon as he crosses the line. Great run for Cornelis there, but Spoelstra down 2 from where he started. So a kind of up and down day for Scuderia Leone. Lazarevic, he's going to drop 5. Denny Rates, how about that, Jake? Plus 12 in this race. Just kept it nice and easy. Denny Rates has a great run here at Interlagos.
Yeah, and we're also seeing the likes of Mark Usher starting to come towards the line. A day of difficulty then for the number 6 machine. He could have done so much more. Started 6th on the grid, and it just didn't pay off for him one iota. Still one car, though, after this to get to the line with Thomas Gibson. That's Brandon Eves. But we can get for you up on your screen then official classified results then from this round at number 5 at Interlagos. And well, it's Jan Schwieter who makes it a 5th different winner in 4th different winner even in 5 races. He wins by 6.8 seconds over Scott Newton. Javier Sola will come home in 3rd. Christian Koch will go from 11th to 4th in the end, with Boris Spoelstra, championship leader, fighting back from adversity to finish at the end a lowly 5th, with his teammate Fabrice Cornelis in 6th. Scott McIntyre will come home 7th, with Denny Rice 20th to 8th in the end, with Chris Lazarevic dropping in 9th, and Aseo Tellert there rounding out your top 10. And then the last of the cars to finish this race, Daniel Berenson, Mark Usher, Thomas Gibson and Brandon Eves. Angus Waddell, after his dive bomb, ended it with 4 to go. Rob Bower and Nestor Garcia Jr. finding troubles. Nestor Garcia Jr., of course, your pole sitter. And then you had the likes of Darius Trinker, Daniel Araujo, Riley Preston and Charlie Summers as well, coming towards some troubles here and some troubles there. We're going to step aside for just one moment's time. When we come back, post-race coverage here on what is iRacing Live and Racebot TV. Don't go away. Well, after the crazy race that we have just seen, it's time to calm things just a little bit down right now, because all after being said and done, it means that this race at Interlagos was one that you had to watch. In the commentary booth with us right now, a second place finisher here on iRacing Live and RaceBot TV, Scott Newton for Apex Racing UK, joining us in the commentary box. Scott, that race was something else. You had about 5 different lead changes in the opening exchanges. You had yourself fighting for your life with the drivers behind you. Just what's it like in such a high pressure situation?
Yeah, gents. Yeah, pretty stressful, to say the least. I was actually surprised to get up the inside of turn 1 there on Nesta there. But yeah, it was great respect there, especially for the racing room, given that everyone was just fighting for the same piece of tarmac. But yeah, within the first opening laps here, I was just trying to hold on for dear life, just putting my car in defensive positions where I could try and maintain the lead.
Yeah, it does seem to be one of those things where you are trying to find that battle and you're trying to break away, and of course slipstream around this circuit more than quite a few others, you could say, becomes a key benefactor in any of these battles. So for you, you saw Jan Schwieter go through, you saw him break that slipstream quite quickly, and for you, it was a case about trying to cut your losses and go for second. But come the end of that race, you had Javier Sola behind you by about 0.8 of a second. So for you, maybe hot lapping that track and hoping that you had more pace than Javier, was that the sort of mentality you were having?
Yeah, yeah. The reason why Jan got by was I was in third gear going through turn 10. So yeah, fair play to him, and yeah, he just managed to break away. He was really consistent. Able to pull away, but yeah, I was battling with about 3 or 4 laps around the middle of the race with Darius there, and yeah, I happened to do a half spin, and yeah, he caught the back of me. So yeah, it was just a bit unfortunate for him, and yeah, just trying to hot lap just to break the 2. I was behind with Javier and Darius there, but yeah, it's just like, yeah, as you say, trying to hold on for dear life, trying to stay consistent even with just that little bit of damage, and it was, yeah, awesome still to get the second place.
Yeah, it certainly is, and of course, you might not think it, but we're coming up towards halfway in the season after the next race. And well, for you, you've been up there near the front looking to try and get a result here, a result there. And for you, it might be just a case of, you know, trying to see where you come along. Top 5, top 10s, certainly possible and plausible on the results that we've been seeing right now. So for you, looking to try and keep the momentum going into next week?
Yeah, definitely. Had I not done extra races in week 1 and week 3, I would be 100 points higher than where I should be. But yeah, just, as you say, yeah, just looking to get consistent results, and yeah, definitely top 5's the goal.
Top 5 then, certainly the goal indeed for Scott Newton. Thank you for joining us from Apex Racing UK. And a fantastic race we just seen here, Cisco. One of those races where pretty much everything's happened from first minute to last. There was always something going on, and there were a lot of battles here and a lot of angry men afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Nim's inbox is going to be full after this race here. A lot of angry drivers, but the racing was fantastic, exciting, and man, we got to get another round of this next week too.
Yeah, we certainly do, and there's a lot of people who would like to have been here. Of course, we didn't have Paul Smith here this evening. He was busy doing some work with iRacing in terms of autosport and everything that has gone on at the convention over there. Big shout out to Will Vincent as well, and Jack Davidson over there doing a brilliant job, along with Kevin Bobbitt also, and they're on RaceBot TV radio. And of course, this weekend sees a lot of action here and there. The Raw before the 24 will be coming towards itself. And then, of course, the week after that, the big one, the Daytona 24 Hours will be coming into play. And, of course, you can't count out your Formula Renault 2.0 series will be coming back next week to mark the halfway stage in the season as well. Big thank you to all the drivers and to everyone who has been watching at home. That's been Cisco Scaramusa. That's been Hugo Louis behind the cameras. I've been Jake Sperry, and that was a masterclass on how to make Interlagos exciting. Schwieter makes it 4 different winners in 5, meaning it's pretty much anyone's game to play for. Good night.